Hey, it's Darryl Syms, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about how you can play the minor pentatonic scale over major chords. There's a quick trick that I'm going to share with you in this video, and we'll also make it practical. I'll give you a sequence to play with and demonstrate what it sounds like over some non-diatonic chord changes. Just before we make a start with the lesson, I would like to invite you to come along and check out my website, which is linked in the description below, where you'll find heaps of instructional content to help you get to know your fretboard a lot better, which will most certainly aid your fretboard visualization and contribute to helping you understand this video a lot more thoroughly if at any point you do happen to get lost. With that said, let's crack on with the video. Okay, if we go ahead and take a C major chord or a C major 7, and we go ahead and play the minor pentatonic scale directly on top of that, you can see it doesn't sound very nice, and that's because there are a lot of conflicting notes here that are within the scale that don't exist within the C major 7 chord. So in actual fact, in order to play minor pentatonic over the major chord here, we cannot play it directly on top of the chord. We actually rather need to play it starting from the major third of that chord. So the major third starting here, 1, 2, 3. If we play that same minor pentatonic, here that works absolutely fine, and in fact it has a lot of flavor because the function of these notes have now changed in relationship to the chord, and they're very tasty functions. We start off with your major third, of course, followed by the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and then the 9th. So just remember, if you want to play the minor pentatonic scale over a major 7 chord, you must start that scale on the major third of the chord that you're playing over. So in this instance, we're playing the E minor pentatonic scale over a C major 7 chord. Let's begin to elaborate on this a little farther and introduce a second chord, one that's real close and non-diatonic to force you to really think about what you're doing. We'll go up a half step to D flat major 7. So we're simply going to go from C major 7 to D flat major 7. And the two scales in which you would play over this, relative to the topic of this video, minor pentatonic scales, will be E minor pentatonic, followed by F minor pentatonic. And if I just loop those two chords over and over and play through these scales, you'll notice that they sound fantastic. So that's pretty basic level there, where we're just jumping up and down half steps to accommodate for the chords. But let's try a bit more of a challenging progression for you to play with. And these are all non-diatonic chords, which really challenges you to think about the function of the notes that you're playing rather than rely on a parent scale. So the chord progression which we're going to try now starts off with C major once again. So you would play E minor pentatonic over that one, followed by E flat major 7. Can you guess which minor pentatonic scale fits over that chord? Hopefully you got it. It's G minor pentatonic. And then we're going to play D minor 7. Now over this one you would just play a D minor pentatonic scale. That works. Followed by D flat major 7. You should go ahead and play an F minor pentatonic over this one. So if I go ahead and loop those 4 chords now and play through the scales involved, you'll hear that they sound fantastic. And then I've got a nice little sequence for you to try, which I think sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to show it to you anyway. You see, that sounds fantastic. Let's go ahead and try a sequence now. me go ahead and slow that sequence down. It's a real fun one to play. That's all there is to it. And then we're going to do the same in reverse on the next chord. So and then do the same on the next one, but ascending. And then once again descending on the next chord. Now that's something for you to play with to really get used to the sound of these notes and how flavoursome they are, but in practice, when you're playing over these kinds of chord changes, I encourage that you don't move around the neck too much. So it's not very efficient for you to play the pentatonic scale here, and then play the same up here, and then move down, and then, you know, that's not a very effective way of playing this, because you'll find that you'll pretty much just do the same licks and patterns within each of those box shapes. What you should rather do is learn how to play each of these shapes in one section of the neck. So what we can try, for example, is of course the first shape, the first scale, sounds like this, which is fine, but rather than move up to the next area of the neck, let's play the minor pentatonic scale for that chord, which would be E flat major 7. We're playing G minor pentatonic. We'll play it in this area of the neck. So rather than, we'll actually play. And you see the movement involved in going between these two shapes is not as distant as the previous method. So we can go. And then for the next shape, which we would originally go down here, D minor pentatonic, we can play here. And then for the next one. So you see we've condensed all that information into one area of the neck, and we can obviously do that for each area of the neck. But the point that I'm bringing up here is that ideally once you get familiar with this, your ultimate goal is not to be so dependent on one shape. You don't want to be bringing that shape up and down the neck so much. You want to be able to play comfortably in one area of the neck. So there you have it. Hopefully that made some sense to you. The main thing, if you take just one thing away from this video, is that you should play the familiar minor pentatonic shape that everybody knows, starting on the major third of your major chord. Have fun, enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.